Oxygen is everywhere. It is in the air we breathe, the water we drink, and even in the cells of our bodies. Without oxygen, life as we know it would not exist. It's such a fundamental part of our world that we often take it for granted, not realizing how miraculous this invisible gas really is. The story of oxygen is one of evolution, chemistry, and the delicate balance of life on Earth. Oxygen's role in the world began long before humans appeared on the scene. In fact, billions of years ago, Earth's atmosphere contained very little oxygen. The early Earth was a vastly different place, with an atmosphere composed mainly of nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and methane. Life, at that time, consisted only of simple, microscopic organisms that didn't need oxygen to survive. These early life forms, known as anaerobic organisms, thrived in this oxygen-free environment. The change came with the evolution of photosynthesis. Around 2.4 billion years ago, a group of bacteria called cyanobacteria began to use sunlight to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose and oxygen. This was the beginning of the Great Oxygenation Event, a pivotal moment in Earth's history. As cyanobacteria multiplied and spread across the planet, they released increasing amounts of oxygen into the atmosphere. Over millions of years, oxygen levels slowly rose, fundamentally altering the planet's environment. For many organisms, this new oxygen-rich atmosphere was toxic. Oxygen is a highly reactive element, and for the anaerobic organisms that had evolved in an oxygen-free world, it was lethal. Mass extinctions followed, wiping out many species that couldn't adapt. However, some organisms found ways to not only survive but to thrive in this new environment. These early aerobic organisms, capable of using oxygen for energy, marked the beginning of a new chapter in the history of life on Earth. Oxygen became the breath of life. It allowed for more complex life forms to evolve, including plants and animals. For these organisms, oxygen plays a vital role in cellular respiration, the process by which cells convert glucose and oxygen into energy. This energy powers every function of a living organism, from movement to growth to reproduction. But what is oxygen, exactly? At its most basic level, oxygen is a chemical element. On the periodic table, it is represented by the symbol O and has an atomic number of 8. It's the third most abundant element in the universe, after hydrogen and helium. In its pure form, oxygen exists as a diatomic molecule, meaning two oxygen atoms are bound together to form O2, the form of oxygen we breathe. Oxygen is incredibly reactive. It readily forms compounds with other elements, which is why it's so abundant in compounds like water, H2O, and carbon dioxide, CO2. This reactivity also explains oxygen's crucial role in combustion. When oxygen combines with fuel, such as wood or gasoline, it produces heat and light in a process we know as fire. This same principle powers everything from car engines to the burning of calories in our bodies. The air around us is about 21% oxygen, mixed with 78% nitrogen and trace amounts of other gases like argon and carbon dioxide. While 21% might not seem like much, it's the perfect amount for life on Earth. Too much oxygen, and fires would rage uncontrollably. Too little, and aerobic organisms like humans wouldn't be able to survive. This balance has been maintained over millions of years, thanks in large part to the Earth's biosphere, the delicate interplay of plants, animals, and microbes that regulate the levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Plants, in particular, play a critical role in this balance. Through the process of photosynthesis, plants take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and release oxygen as a byproduct. This oxygen is then available for animals, including humans, to breathe. In turn, animals exhale carbon dioxide, which plants use to fuel the photosynthetic process. It's a beautiful cycle, one that has sustained life on Earth for millions of years. The oxygen cycle is just one of many natural processes that keeps our planet in balance. But human activities have started to disrupt this balance. Deforestation, for example, reduces the number of trees available to produce oxygen. At the same time, burning fossil fuels releases large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, contributing to global warming and climate change. While the total amount of oxygen in the atmosphere hasn't changed significantly, these disruptions could have long-term effects on the health of our planet and its ability to support life. The oxygen in our atmosphere also plays another crucial role. It protects us from harmful solar radiation. High in the Earth's stratosphere, oxygen molecules absorb ultraviolet, UV, radiation from the sun, splitting into single oxygen atoms in the process. These single atoms can then combine with O2 molecules to form ozone, O3, which creates the ozone layer. This layer acts as a shield, blocking the majority of the sun's harmful UV rays from reaching the Earth's surface. Without the ozone layer, life on Earth would be exposed to dangerous levels of radiation, leading to increased rates of skin cancer and other health issues. Oxygen's importance extends far beyond the Earth's atmosphere. It's also a key element in the human body. In fact, oxygen makes up about 65% of the human body by mass, mostly in the form of water. Every cell in our body depends on oxygen to function. The oxygen we breathe in is carried by our red blood cells to every part of our body, where it is used to produce energy. Without a constant supply of oxygen, cells would quickly die, leading to organ failure and, eventually, death. This is why breathing is so important. When we breathe, we inhale oxygen-rich air into our lungs. From there, oxygen passes into our bloodstream, where it binds to hemoglobin in red blood cells. These red blood cells then transport oxygen to tissues throughout the body. At the same time, carbon dioxide, a waste product of cellular respiration, is carried back to the lungs and exhaled. This process happens automatically, without us even thinking about it, yet it is vital to our survival. Oxygen therapy is a common medical treatment for people who have difficulty breathing due to conditions like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, asthma, or pneumonia. In these cases, providing extra oxygen can help the body get the oxygen it needs to function properly. In more extreme situations, such as high-altitude environments where oxygen levels are lower, supplemental oxygen can be life-saving. Speaking of high altitudes, the amount of oxygen in the air decreases as you go higher above sea level. This is why people who climb mountains, like Mount Everest, often use oxygen tanks to help them breathe. At the summit of Everest, the air contains only about one-third of the oxygen found at sea level, making it incredibly difficult for the human body to function without extra oxygen. The lack of oxygen at high altitudes can lead to altitude sickness, a potentially dangerous condition characterized by headaches, nausea, and shortness of breath. Oxygen is not only essential for life on Earth, but it has also played a key role in space exploration. Astronauts rely on carefully controlled oxygen levels in their spacecraft to survive the vacuum of space. The International Space Station, for example, uses electrolysis to split water into hydrogen and oxygen, providing a continuous supply of breathable air for astronauts. Meanwhile, spacesuits are equipped with oxygen tanks to ensure that astronauts have a steady supply of oxygen during spacewalks. In addition to its role in human survival, oxygen has shaped the course of life on Earth in profound ways. The rise of oxygen in the atmosphere paved the way for the evolution of complex multicellular organisms. Before oxygen became abundant, life was limited to simple, single-celled organisms. But as oxygen levels increased, it allowed for the development of more energy-efficient metabolic processes, giving rise to larger and more complex life forms, including animals. The evolution of animals brought about significant changes to the Earth's ecosystems. Animals that could move and hunt for food, such as early predators, introduced new dynamics into the food chain. This, in turn, led to the diversification of species and the development of intricate ecosystems that have persisted to this day. Oxygen, in many ways, was the catalyst for the explosion of life during the Cambrian period, a time when most major animal groups first appeared in the fossil record. Throughout Earth's history, oxygen levels have fluctuated, influencing the course of evolution. For example, during the Carboniferous period, around 300 million years ago, oxygen levels reached their highest point, at about 35% of the atmosphere. This high oxygen concentration allowed for the existence of giant insects, such as dragonflies with wingspans of up to 2 feet. As oxygen levels eventually decreased, these enormous insects disappeared, replaced by smaller, more efficient species. Today, oxygen continues to be a driving force in evolution and ecological balance. Its role in photosynthesis, respiration, and the protection of life from harmful radiation cannot be overstated. And yet, for all its importance, oxygen remains a humble, invisible gas, quietly sustaining life with every breath we take. In conclusion, oxygen is the breath of life, an element so essential to our existence that we rarely stop to think about it. From its role in shaping the early Earth to its importance in modern medicine and space exploration, oxygen has played a central role in the story of life on our planet. It is a key component of the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat. Without oxygen, life as we know it would simply not be possible. So the next time you take a deep breath, remember that you are inhaling not just a gas, but a vital force that connects you to the living world around you.